Set the scene for me, especially for people who may not know the valleys in Maryland. What's special about them? What attracted you to them? Why are they one of the most important things for the state of Maryland and for our region?
The valleys west of I-83 are pretty close to unique in the sense that they have been so well looked after and preserved over many years, thanks to a number of foresighted people going back several generations who put a lot of hard work in and thought into actually making that happen. Coming from Ireland and with a background of liking lots of green trees and pasture and farmland around me, I found that especially appealing when I came here. I'm a Mayor Blowen. I've only been here about 20 years, but I still feel that that's a really important part of the reason why I live where I do.
And what would this Hunt Valley Baptist complex be? What would that mean for this area?
I think that having this Hunt Valley Baptist Church, megachurch, and all that goes with it, if it is allowed to develop, essentially I see it as a Pandora's box. We know from Greek mythology that Pandora, when her box was opened, all the evils in the world were supposed to come out of it. As far as the valleys are concerned, and the whole Hunt Valley, Worthington Valley, and Green Spring Valley areas are concerned, I think it could be a very, very bad thing. Not only because of the huge footprint it would take along Shawan Road, what it would do to traffic, what it would do to air quality and water quality, but also because of the precedent it would set, because it will be open season if this church is allowed to proceed, and it's going to be very, very difficult to stop once that gets started.
It's a real desecration, isn't it?
It is a desecration, and it's actually galling to look at the Hunt Valley Baptist Church website, where they claim that they are now the proud stewards of the finest and most beautiful piece of property in Hunt Valley. And they may well be right, but I really don't understand why they want to go and wreck it by putting this huge church, large car parks, and a lot of unnecessary traffic into that location. That church belongs well below the zone, the line between urban and rural development. That is not a does not belong in a rural development under any circumstances.
What do you know about the Hunt Valley Baptist Church in terms of its viability even for completing this project?
Which is an excellent thought, that will this church actually have enough funds to actually build it and maintain it? Because we're talking about a huge property with 1,000-seater church sanctuary that is being built by a parish that is very small, and whether they're able to actually raise the money is another question. We have the thought that maybe this could turn out to be a church that never gets built, and we're forced to look at a half-finished building, giant building, down along Shawan Road for the next 20 years until somebody does something with it. That's a possibility. The other alternative is that they may decide to actually, assuming they get permission to build this church, they may actually flip the property. They may actually sell it on to a church with a bigger congregation and far deeper pockets, and the ability to actually build the church as big as it looks like it's going to be. Or they may actually try and turn it into some kind of a multi-faith building that could be used by many different churches, many different faiths on many days of the week. At the end of the day, whatever way you look at it, the outcome as far as the neighborhood is concerned, as far as the community is concerned, is going to be a bad one.
What are your thoughts about current zoning, and why is it important to uphold that zoning?
Well, if you don't have good zoning in where you live, if you don't have an appropriate place to put industrial development, commercial development, urban development, housing where appropriate, and then have a separate area, which in Maryland, so much of Maryland is rural, and it should be kept that way. It's extremely important because if you allow ribbon development, if you allow properties just to be put all over the place, you're going to have a really, it's really going to damage the environment, and it's going to damage the beauty of the area in which we live. And I think that enough people have put enough effort into keeping the valleys as pristine as they are over several generations at this time, that it really is incumbent on us as the generation now faced with this problem, is that we act very aggressively to ensure that nothing bad happens. And to do that, we have to ensure that Hunt Valley Baptist Church never gets built on Shawan Road.
What do people need to do?
Well, what I would like to see people do with respect to trying to stop this church is, first of all, Save Shawan is the website that they should look for on the web, which will give them information, and it's also on Facebook. Again, Save Shawan. It's easy to find. There's lots of information about what to do, but the most important things to do are, if you live in Baltimore County, you should write to the appeals board. There are links available on the website as to how to do that. Write to the appeals board and state your objection to this church being built. I think that's very important. Our local county councillor is Wade Catch, and you can actually also find links to actually contact Wade Catch and tell him that you want him to ensure that this building does not ever get allowed to get built on Shawan Road either. These are important things that people can do. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort to do that, and if enough people do it, I think the planning board and the politicians will all get the message loud and clear that the community does not want this.
Tell me a little bit about how you see people from all over the country and all over the state and all over the world enjoying that area.
Well, you've actually pointed out things that are important. The area where we live is notable for having some wonderful horse country. It's a great place to go bike riding. There are a lot of county playing fields for different sports in the immediate area as well. All of those are really appropriate uses of the land, but putting up megachurches isn't. And not only that, the addition of all of the traffic that megachurch will potentially bring is just going to make Shawan Road even more and more difficult with respect to the amount of traffic it has. It already has excessive amounts of traffic at many times of the day. That's just going to get worse, and despite what the church's initial claim that the traffic's not going to be bad, it's notable that they only actually did some traffic observations on a Sunday, and we know that they're going to operate that building 7 days a week, despite any claims they make to the contrary. Because if they don't do that, they're never going to be able to pay for running, first of all, building and then running that church.
What do you know about the parking lots, and what do you think it will do to the environment?
Well, the environmental issues include several things. First of all, we've got the parking, and they're going to have a very large number of car parking spaces. It's going to be between 200 and 300 spaces. Plus, they're going to have a fleet of buses operating in and out of the church as well. They're saying they want to use some permeable surface. And that will still have, won't get away from the fact that you're going to have a problem with damage to the environment. Remember that there are a lot of people in the area who actually have septic tanks and have got wells, and that's going to degrade the water quality. Also going to degrade the water quality is the fact that they're going to have 1,000 people there on a Sunday or any day or whatever days. That in fact means that they're going to be actually doing a lot of damage, because they're going to have to use septic tanks. There is no public water. To me, it's absolutely crazy that the county would ever approve that a 1,000-seater structure would be allowed just to use a septic tank for drainage, when within a very short distance they could find a site where there is public water and public sewer available. So that's another reason why degradation is likely to take place. And we just should bear in mind that within this parcel of land, there are actually streams which drain into the gunpowder, and that actually essentially means these are trout streams. This is all part of the waterway that actually feeds the Gunpowder River, and there's plenty of potential for damage to protected species such as brown trout and a native brown trout, brook trout, as a result of the runoff from the parking lot and indeed from damage from the septic tanks.
And eventually that all goes into the bay.
Everything goes into the bay, and as we know, we are still a very, very long way from actually managing to deal with the bay's problems, and this kind of development only makes things worse.